Hi everyone, welcome back, or maybe welcome for the first time to a pixelart time-lapse Sprite video of mine. I'm continuing from last video where we did a butler. This time around, thanks to a comment, we're gonna make a chef in theme for Thanksgiving. I decided to make I wanted to try some sort of RPG themed character. I wanted to have big gloves, big boots, and some sort of fantasy character, but yet not at the same time. Here I'm trying a new method in making a sprite. This time around I tried a first blob, which I usually do, but then I try to go around and add outlines for everything. So I'm going around, I'm trying to see, okay, if I were to just have outlines for the, the apron. I have the apron, I have the big poofy oven mitts, I have the big poofy boots, and I want this character to have big round glasses to really pop out and just be different. I wasn't sure if to do this or not since the last character, the guy on the left, had glasses, but I wanted this to be a comically large glasses. I wanted her character to be have high contrast in the sense of big. So big mittens, big shoes, and big glasses. And here you can see I'm struggling to figure out how I want the shirt to look and the oven mitts themselves. So I'm just going back and forth and trying different shapes and different sizes. I thought about making the shirt kind of go over, have a sort of tuck-in look, but I didn't like the way that felt, so I'm just going over and trying to see, okay, do the hands go here? Does the shirt go down? I'm trying to check and make sure my proportions feel right. I'm adding the arms here, and you can see it, for me at least, it didn't feel right, and it, for whatever angle I did or whatever size I made it, I didn't like it, and at this point I thought even maybe I shouldn't do refinements, but I keep going and I think to myself, okay, maybe it just looks weird because she has the glasses at the moment, so I make the eyes regular, and then I go back, I add that scarf, would you call it an ascot in this case? I think that's the scarf thing around your neck, and here I'm trying to figure out the arms, and I'm thinking, why doesn't it look right? Is it the size? Is it her head? Maybe it's her neck? I'm trying to figure out the shoulder and okay, maybe thinking, does the face need to go up? Does it need to go down? Is the face the right size? Is that why the shoulders feel weird? She just doesn't feel proportionate to the rest of her body, and I'm trying to make sure she's shorter than the guy but taller than the child character I've done before. And I'm just going over and trying to see, okay, maybe if I add some ruffles to her clothing it'll feel right. Doesn't feel right. Is it because the oven mitts? So I try to make her hand smaller to see, okay, if she wasn't wearing oven mitts and she just had a really small hand, does that work? No. And I realize here as I extend the arm, okay, way too long, definitely not. How about if I do it here though, making it less, but adding more to it, and I'm just trying to overall see why isn't this working? So I'm just trying a lot of things and seeing what feels right, and none of it feels right, which is good to know, but also bad in the sense I have no idea how to fix it. So I try a different approach. Here, instead of long sleeves, I do short sleeves, kind of a poofy short sleeve, and then her arm, just her arm. And it feels a little bit better than it did before. And so I keep going with it. I first figure out, okay, hand. I'm gonna remove the oven mitt for now and just figure out her arm. What is her arm length? And you can see here, really long. So I just keep going back and I'm trying to make sure proportionately, how long should her arm be? Her arm or the tips of her fingers should go, I think, through your knees. If I can recall either, yeah, your knees, I think, and then your hips, or not your hips, your stomach is your elbow. So I'm trying to keep that in mind, and I'm trying to see, okay, is it the position of her arms that feels funny? Does her hands or her arms need to go behind her back? But I find that I like this length good. I like this length pretty nice, and figuring that out, I then go back and I modify the arms. I'm trying to figure out, okay, since that looks right, let me try adding the oven mitts. And once I add the oven mitts back, I will move on to adding hair. And this is fun. I'm trying to get better at clothing and hair. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, what type of hairstyle together? I wanted her to be a very cute looking chef. The idea is that she's a gourmet and a foodie at heart. She eats anything, live or dead. So this is the idea, okay, let's make her really innocent looking, but then maybe she can have some expressions that show off, hey look, she's not as innocent as she seems. I give her big round glasses and I then add the eyes to feel like there is a character behind it compared to the right one, which doesn't. Here I'm trying to figure out the eye size. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what about the bangs? I tend to do this sort of bang feel, or at least bangs that round the eye, and I didn't want to do that this time. Once I add the top of her hair, I then add the scarf. I think it's a scarf, kind of like a chef scarf on top of her head. I think about adding the bow part, but didn't like it, and here I'm just trying to figure out proportions. It really always comes down to proportions. How does this feel? Does it not feel nice? If not, what do I need to raise? What do I need to lower? You can see here I'm messing around with her ears. I want her ears to be visible, and then once I figure out the base idea, I then add the base colors, and it doesn't look good, and I'm not having faith in it by now, but I'm sticking with it, and I think that's a lot of it, trusting the process. You can see for a second that was purple. I'm just trying to figure out color palette. The idea behind doing these sprites, the sprite set, is it's supposed to be fall themed, and here I'm thinking, okay, well, what contrast? Yellow, purple, but I didn't like purple, so instead I made her a redhead, strawberry blonde, that sort of feel, and then from there, I'm just trying to figure out, okay, now that I have colors, I can work with it a little bit better than doing just 2 colors. I'm trying to figure out her size and her face, and I thought about having that curtain feel to her hair, but I usually do that, and I wanted to do something different, and I also felt like her face was too wide. So I'm messing around here and trying to figure out, okay, her face is funny, so let me change it. Maybe I can make her glasses smaller. How did I do the other characters? Maybe I can take their eyes from there, yoink them for a second, and see, okay, this is how I did the child, so I need to make them smaller since she's an adult, and modify it from there since she has the glasses, and I want the glasses to feel like glasses. I want that rim feel. Do I have to have a space in between the rims? Can I make the eyes smaller? This character is supposed to be on the intelligent side, but also very silly. So I didn't want a very mature looking character compared to the butler I have. This one's more supposed to be about middle age, I'd say, always kind of getting into trouble because she wants food. And I think this hairstyle reminds me a bit of Splatoon a bit, just the goggles feel. And I wanted it to be glasses, not goggles, so it was a little tricky. But after I figure out a hairstyle I like better than the first one where it's not curtain bangs, I then go back and add that head to the rest of the body, and then I think, okay, maybe ponytail? No ponytail. Maybe she should just have short hair, and that's what I give her. I give her, well, not short, I'd say this is more medium length. I then swap the position and work on that instead. Now that I have the idea down and the general feel of colors, I then start to go and I fill in colors from previous sprites to hopefully make her feel like she belongs in the world. I have trouble here trying to figure out the skin tone. I made the other two have the same skin tone, but I wanted her to have a little bit of a peachier skin tone since she has yellow clothing. So this was tricky, but I just ended up Googling some skin tones and messing around with a few. You can see here going back and forth. Okay, what's this color? How does this feel? Does it feel nice? Does it blend in well? Does it not? It doesn't. Okay, let's go back. And that's just trial and error. And I think that's always fun, the fact I can just pop it in, pop it out, and once that's finished, I then try to figure out the silhouette of the hair. I try something, didn't like it, and I'm trying to figure out overall contrast and thinking, okay, I want her glasses to be seen, but I don't want them to blend in, and I don't want them to pop out. This was tricky, figuring out the scarf part of her clothing. The shading was funny. At first I tried adding shadow, but then I tried adding light. And once I figure out, okay, adding light was a little bit easier. Now I'm going around and adding outlines. Again, here, I'm having trouble with skin tones and figuring out, okay, what shading should I do for the outside of the skin? What I ended up doing was making a multiply layer and adding either reddish or orangish, you can see, and just taking that color from blending to see if that felt better, and it did. So I went with that and I added another color and figuring out, okay, I like the way this one feels. It's not as bland or dull. I'm going in and figuring out the neck size, neck height, trying to see if I can modify it and seeing if it feels funny. I'm adding shading to the clothing. I'm trying to keep in mind those overall feel of just where will the wrinkles go? Where's the lighting at? All those things. I add a little bit of blush there and I'm modifying her head, and I realize small neck, not good. So I changed that back, and I also had an outline on her head. I removed that, you can see, because it just felt funny, but removing it, I feel like it made her a lot smoother. And you can kind of see on the right there, the old Sprite, just how different adding that. Yeah, there you go. I also add a mysterious stain on her apron. Not sure what it is yet. I thought maybe I could add a second color to it, but one color kept it simple, kept it fine. And then I went back in and I realized, okay, well, her ears, I didn't want the outline, I didn't like how it felt. And I then realized the guys, the one on the left, his ears are outlined and it doesn't fit with the style. So I might go back and just change that to one tone. From there though, I'm working on just overall adding to her body. I add lines to her mittens and then multiply like I did with the skin. So it's an overall feel to it. And then I go in and modify the eyes, and you can see here I add the glasses, and I think because I have that split in the middle, it doesn't feel like goggles like they did before. And since I removed her eyes, I think that helped a lot as well. Here I'm trying to figure out how to shade her hair. This is a new bank style I've done before, but I'm just looking at references of Pokemon sprites, black and white, and trying to figure out, okay, how do they do theirs? How can I do mine? And these seem to add a barrier. Next up, I then try saying, okay, well, do her boots need to be tall? Can I make them shorter? And I think I ended up going with tall. I like the way it felt, and this is just me messing around and seeing, okay, maybe they can have a hem, no hem, yes hem, and overall trying to modify everything. From there though, I then move on to the second part of the prompt, though I don't think it was technically added, but I did a quick drawing of a turkey, since this is the chef that's supposed to be cooking the turkey, but issue is the turkey's still alive and she's gotta go catch the turkey, and those turkeys having none of it. You know, maybe they'll have a vegan Thanksgiving this time around, but I wanted to add a victim of hers, potential victim if she does catch it, but if she doesn't, then, you know, it still lives. I'm just trying to keep in mind overall the roundness of turkey. I wanted it to be a very comical looking turkey. At first I tried to add wide eyes to see, okay, this turkey's about to get attacked, but I go with a more realistic approach, just having the eyes on the side, keeping it light. I add puffy cheeks to make it look cuter, and then I forgot, is it called a griddle or something, that flappy part on the turkey that goes on the side, like a rooster or a turkey. I'm looking at pictures, and some turkeys have their tail feathers up, some have them tail feathers down, but I wanted to just go more shapes. So round, plump, round back, round, plump, and I keep it very simple with the shading and everything, as it's just supposed to be a quick doodle. But overall, that is our chef and that is our turkey. What do you think? I had a lot of fun doing these two, and it was a challenge, but it was a fun challenge, and this was 2 hours, so a complete 180. It seems to take me about 2 hours to do these sprites, but overall, what do you think? I like it, and I'm excited to keep going with this series. Let's see, I think we have one more before the end of the November, and then from there we'll do December. So if you have one more suggestion for a fall or Thanksgiving themed sprite, we could add it to this collection or something else, feel free to leave the comments down below and I'll choose one of those, and unless you want me to figure out something on my own. You don't want to leave me to my own devices. Aside from that, thank you to Colonel for both suggesting and being a Patreon member of mine, and there I have different time lapses and files as well of pixel art I've done in the past. But with that, thank you for coming, thank you for joining, and stay around for a animation of the sprites. Alright, bye bye!